PRRS. It's something if you're outside of the pig industry and the hog industry, you might not hear a lot about. But we're going to talk about that today. Hello, I'm Susan Littlefield with the American Ag Network, and I'm excited because Dr. Lisa Becton is joining us now. She is with SHIC, which is the Swine Health Information Center. And we've heard from a few producers that they've had some PRRS concerns, maybe even had PRRS outbreaks in their barns. And I think to start out, let's talk about what PRRS is all about.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today. PRRS is porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus. So it's a virus that affects both the reproductive system and the respiratory system of pigs. And so it's probably one of the biggest viral challenges that we're facing for swine health. And it causes significant impact. And it's relatively widespread and endemic in our industry. And so it's something that is of concern when we assess the virus and assess the impact on producers.
So, is it out of the norm that we're here into the middle of July and we're still hearing PRRS cases?
It is relatively unexpected for this time of year. Normally in the summer, we tend to see viral cases start to decline a bit, and that's across a couple different monitoring systems, both the swine disease reporting system as well as the Morrison Swine Health Monitoring Program. And so they each measure a little bit different things, but they do track the incidence over time. And so we are seeing certain elevated levels of PRRS, especially in wean to finish groups.
So, what as a pork producer should we be doing to help prevent it? Or is it?
One of the big things that people can do, we can't prevent it if it spreads through the air, but there's tangible things in biosecurity. So transportation is always one that we know is a culprit, whether that's PED or PRRS. And so it's very important when you look at your sanitation of trailers to make sure that you're washing, drying if at all possible, disinfecting to make sure that we're not transmitting the virus through transportation. But other things are to monitor feed deliveries, make sure that the feed is not getting contaminated from outside sources or even from birds and even people movements. And so that's another area, as well as manure hauling. And typically, we look at this now, manure hauling between now and into the fall season. But we do know there's evidence that PRRS can spread through the operations of manure hauling and applications. And so any kind of things that we're doing to prevent the spread of disease into a barn is really, really important to help prevent the introduction of PRRS.
So, it really comes back to biosecurity, biosecurity, biosecurity.
Well, it's the one thing that a producer can control. A lot of times I look at what can we control and what is out of our control. But biosecurity is definitely something that producers can do to really help their farms prevent a lot of these diseases.
Dr. Becton, is it the potential of a mutation that could be happening? I know you guys are doing lots of research right now. What are you seeing and what are some concerns that might be there?
Sure. One of the main tools that we utilize is our disease monitoring programs. And one of those includes the swine disease reporting system. And you can find those monthly reports on our website at swinehealth.org. And what these do is track over time, month by month, what types of strains or variants of PRRS are identifying. Because we have seen evolution of the virus and changes in that virus. And some of those changes lead to a more aggressive or virulent strain of PRRS. And so we are seeing more virulent strains in across all of our production phases, whether that's sow or wean to harvest. And so that is something we're tracking both by state, by month, even by animal classification. So it's really important to know what's out there and to understand where it's at and then how it's changing over time, because that'll help drive what other interventions that we can do, whether it's a vaccine or other types of things that can help stimulate the immune system. But without tracking it, we're running blind. So you really have to monitor those things.
I know you guys are doing lots of research. Is there anything being done with the genes of PRRS, or is something that could be introduced to pigs to kind of help build some of that immunity?
There is research out there, that's obviously looking at some of the genetic manipulations. Really, it's important when we look at it to understand where are those changes occurring. what's driving PRRS to be more virulent or more aggressive than others. And so those are some of the things that we're really trying to study and understand, because our fight against this virus has been going on for quite some time, and we wish we know all the answers, but as soon as we learn some answers, the virus changes and then we have to research again. But it really is important to identify where those changes are occurring, and then we're starting to look at, can those changes help predict how bad a virus could be, or maybe how mild it could be. And so those are some of the things that we're looking. But it's, again, other things we're investigating is the impact of biosecurity, say on transportation, on our wean to finish barns, how we can either entry or exit the virus or contain it. And so those are the things that we're really focusing on, because even though we deal with PRRS, we also look at other diseases. And so all of these things really can work across a wide variety of pathogens that we face.
So where does a pork producer go for more information besides obviously their herd veterinarian, but if they want to educate themselves a little bit more?
Sure. You can go to our website at swinehealth.org. We've got a couple different things. We always have research results available. We also have our disease reports every month. And so you can sign up for our monthly newsletter, and that'll give you access automatically to all of the content on our website and the newsletters. And so there's just a ton of information there for producers to dig through and identify and help them in their operations and help their veterinarian too.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for bringing us up to speed and giving us a little bit more education on PRRS.
You bet. Thanks for having me today.
Joining me, of course, Dr. Lisa Becton with SHIC. I'm Susan Littlefield.